Let's now turn our attention to the two big races of the weekend, starting first of all with the Black-Eyed Susan, mile and an eighth. It should go off about 5:45-ish on Friday, and this is a purse of $300,000 for fillies, 3-year-olds. Matter of fact, Hoosier Philly is in this, so taking a look at this race, actually, Hoosier Philly, of course, sticks out. We talked about him on our preseason show.
Sure.
He hasn't really worked out. But I tell you what, let me ask you about that, though, John, because if you want to look at it in a positive light, can I say, or is it really far out to say, well, maybe she just doesn't like fairgrounds?
Of course you could say that. I mean, when you have this horse and you've been counting on her to return to her 2-year-old form, you have to find some excuses. I mean, we have a trainer in here with us, so he'll know better than anybody, but horses don't like certain courses. Yes, it's certainly possible, but what makes you think that she's going to like Pimlico is my question. I mean, I think it's more that she's just not the same horse as a 3-year-old that she was as a 2-year-old.
Do you buy into that in any way, shape, or form, Chad? Or does it all depend on the horse?
Look, I think it all depends on the horse. There are horses that are good to beginning of the 3-year-old year. They get an extended vacation and then they can never hit the board again. That's certainly possible. And sometimes they end up in a claiming race for $30,000. But at the end of the day, the thing with Hoosier Philly is this. Jonathan might be 100% right. And I know she's got to be so frustrating because she was so impressive. I mean, she was the best. Look, take nothing away from Wonder Wheel because Wonder Wheel showed up and showed out. She won the Ashland. She won the Breeders' Cup. She's a deserving 2-year-old filly champion of those. Hoosier Philly was the best horse of the 2-year-old crop last year, Philly. She was the most impressive. She just didn't get into the Breeders' Cup, so she didn't have a chance to run against Wonder Wheel. And I don't know what would have happened if the two of them hooked up last year. I probably would lean a little bit to Hoosier Philly. She's been terrible this year. And you make the excuse in the first start that maybe she just kind of needed the race and she just kind of wasn't herself and she was a little short and it wasn't a great ride. But she came back last time and she was terrible last time. Now, albeit the horse who was in that race, Pretty Mischievous, came back and won the Kentucky Oaks. The Alley's Look ran third in the Kentucky Oaks. So it looks like it could be a key race. And she's working lights out. She's been working. Now, look. I chance. One, because I'm a glutton for punishment, and I love horses who can breeze really fast. It's my favorite thing in the world. But to me, you're a player. We've done this show for the last years, and the one thing that Jonathan always says, and I respect the heck out of Jonathan, the one thing he always says is you can never have a problem with taking a horse at long. Nobody's going to play. So I sit there. I say, look, if she comes half as good as she was last year, she wins this race. I mean, look, I have a lot of respect in the race for FISA, and FISA is going to be the top pick of the people out there. And you know Bob Baffert wants to send a statement running at Pimlico for the first time in a couple of years. But I'm not going to knock anybody for taking a shot on Hoosier Philly because I think Hoosier Philly's faster than FISA. She was last year. And I think that there's still a chance in there. Look, the Connections knew that she loved Churchill Downs. And when they entered her in the Kentucky Oaks, and she was on the also eligible list, and unlike the Kentucky Derby, there were no scratches in the Oaks, so she didn't get in. They could have kept her home, and they could have run her in a stake race against fillies at Churchill. Instead, they take her on the road and send her to Pimlico, and I don't think Tom Amos is going there for the free lunch. I think this filly deserves an opportunity, and I'm going to make her my top pick here at 10-1 because I know that it's in there deep inside, and I just think she's going to find it while listening to Bruno Mars on Friday night.
All right. I like it. Yeah, you mentioned FISA, Chad, so this is obviously going to be the heavy favorite, 5 for 5, Baffert Pratt. We get that. Even the sheets say the horse is better than these other horses here. But, John, when we're taking a look at trying to find some long shots, to compete with FISA. What about the what about the 5, Frosty O'Toole? Frosty O'Toole, if we look at it, ran that.
I think just real quick. I think both Frosty O'Toole and Miracle are going to scratch. I know Miracle's out. Elliot Walden, the racing manager and president of WinStar, tweeted it yesterday.
Okay.
So she's out for sure, Miracle. And I've heard rumblings that Frosty O'Toole also will be scratched. I can't confirm that yet.
Okay.
But I do think she will be scratched.
All right. Well,
let's go to the chase, okay? I like the one horse in there, Sacred Wish. I know she's lightly raced. She comes from George Weaver. She's never done anything wrong, only 3 starts, but she's run well in all of them. And her last race was a distance of ground, first time for George Weaver, and she ran really well. You know, she ran without Lasix last time. She has the advantage of breaking from the rail. She's 10-1. She's a point away from FISA. Okay, and about 10 times the price. I'm going down with the 1 here. I think I'm going to take a chance that she's going to make another forward move for George Weaver.
And Velasquez gets the mount for the first time as well.
My concern, she's very tough. She trains every day in a titanium hood, which is designed to get horses to relax and kind of lay off the bit a little bit. Very good. I've had success with it in the past. When you're on Black-Eyed Susan Day, with the crowd screaming and yelling and dancing and running on porta potties, it's a different atmosphere. The Black-Eyed, there's a lot of moving parts, and she's a very lightly raced filly. I think she's a must-use. I think she has the capability of winning. But I do have some concerns with how she's going to handle the crowd. I'd like to see her in the post parade before making a pick. Obviously, the show we do doesn't allow us that opportunity to do it. But to the listeners out there, I would kind of like to see her in the post parade before going all in on her for a win wager, exactas, trifectas, etc.
A couple other long shots to note. Comparative, the 7 to 12 to 1 shot. That's the Cox horse. The last 3 races, which were all this year, John, you have 21, 17, 13, headed in the right direction, broke maiden in that February race, came right back and won again, and we are getting 12 to 1. So if you continue this run of 4-point tops, then even if you only get a 2 or 3-point top, you're in good shape.
But they're not machines. So, I mean, wouldn't you rather bet Ballypool or Balfour, the 8 horse who already ran in 11 and 10?
I was going to get to the 8 as well. Absolutely. Yeah. The only thing I'm concerned about with the 8 is the 3-week, is the 3rd race in 6 weeks.
And the distance. I mean, she's never been this far. She's been around 1 turn at Aqueduct for those last 2 races. She's never been this far. So that's certainly a question. But it's Rob Actress. So who knows?
Chad?
Well, Comparative is an interesting horse because she's a horse that showed ability for a while and just didn't break through. And then she's finally broken through, and she's got her confidence up, and she's run better and better. And, certainly, Brad Cox at a price, you don't really get to see that often. So, you lick your lips a little bit about the opportunity for her. Obviously, she's part of the B team. Brad Cox's A team, he had 3 horses in the Kentucky Oaks. So, is she his 4th best filly? Maybe. You can certainly play around with her. I don't know that I've seen enough from her as far as from a brilliant standpoint. And it's kind of the same thing with Balpool. Balpool grinded out her maiden win. She went to Laurel. She was awful when she and then won her off the turf stake race with smart planning by Robert Trotz. If the race came off the turf, she was going to be 3 to 5, and that's what happened. I don't know. Look, the Black-Eyed Susan's been on the agenda for a little while. I think the off the turf race ended up just kind of working out in their favor. It wasn't necessarily a plan, but they did that instead of having to work her into this race. I don't think the is relatively small. Even though it's back quickly, I wouldn't worry about a bounce factor necessarily from her in that race. I question her brilliance. I don't see as much from her. Like, I go back to Hoosier Philly and FISA because they've shown what they're capable of. Now, we've seen none of it from Hoosier Philly this year. But, I mean, she was so impressive as a 2-year-old. I want to give her one more try. And on FISA, I do think we have to mention FISA, obviously being undefeated, obviously being the horse to beat. For some reason, though, John, the sheets have not been a fan of FISA. You talk about only being 1 point faster than the Weaver horse. She's 5 for 5 for trainer Bob Affer. Normally, those horses would be running single-digit numbers, and she's not. Is there a reason the sheets just don't think she's that fast?
Well, the races weren't that fast. Horses in California, last time she a 4-point new top. She beat the same horses in every one of those races. I take nothing out of
those horses didn't show up in the Kentucky Oaks at all. None of them ran a little bit.
Not a single one came here, so it just shows you. She beat nothing fields. Listen, she could win. Again, she's 5 for 5. She's never done anything wrong. However, at 3 to 5, you're supposed to try to beat her.
All right, John, your pick?
1 with 7, 8, 9.
7.
Sacred Wish over the 7, 8, and 9.
Okay, and Chad?
I'm gonna take Hoosier Philly. I'm gonna play her with FISA and Sacred Wish, but I'm gonna take Hoosier Philly.
Hoosier Philly.
3-9. 3 over 9.
Yeah, and I think if they named the horse Wildcat Philly, that maybe the horse would have a little bit more success.
Yeah, probably.
All right. And I'll do 9 with 1-7. 1-7-9. Doesn't matter. Exacta. Hopefully we'll make some money off this race. And hopefully FISA won't win. All right. Now we get to the big one, the Preakness. And the Preakness Stakes. I say it's the big one, and it is, but this is not. Matter of fact, John, what was that record you said again?
Well, this is the first time that out of the Derby, only one horse running it. Usually they get more horses that ran in the Derby come back and show up for the Preakness. But Madge is the only one, and that hasn't happened since 1948.
And that shouldn't be too much of a surprise when you look at the field. Only 8 horses in the field, and this is just a great setup for Mage. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better setup if you're Delgado, right? Well, I get to go into this race with what? You have National Treasure and First Mission. Those are the 2 horses he's got to worry about, and that's about it, right?
I don't know. The question is if he's going to run. It's not the question if anyone else is going to run. What is he going to do off of 2 efforts in a short period of time, now coming back off of 2 weeks? I don't want Madge here. Madge is, especially as the favorite, no thank you.
Chad?
Well, when you're talking about Madge, look, I think we've had time to reflect and digest and appreciate the connections, appreciate the story, appreciate the ride that Castellano gave last time, and say without a shadow of a doubt, look, Rich Strike won the Derby last year. You go back and I do this time. I don't know if you do this, John or Greg, but
No, I don't.
a horse wins that's kind of like an oddity. Hey, how did this horse win? Did I miss something? Is there something wrong with my handicap? Did the race fall apart? He was a closer, whatever. I couldn't find Rich Strike with a search warrant. I couldn't do it. And Mage is the horse, even though I didn't pick him, he made sense. He figured on the sheets he was the best third horse in the race after Forte scratched. He right on with what they thought of Mage. He was light. He was able to overcome it. He's a small horse, but that didn't seem to bother him. He was very brave running between horses. The difference is this time, not only is it the 2 weeks, John, but Mage has never had the target on his back.
Right.
And now you have 7 other jockeys, even though it is a small field. It's not going to be a large field like normal Preakness is. You have 7 other jockeys whose singular goal is to beat Mage. Yeah, they want to win the Preakness, but they know the Preakness goes through Mage. So he's going to have 14 eyes on him at all times. And that's a little bit of a different scenario. He's not going to be able to have the same holds open up for him in the Preakness that open up in the Derby. So it's going to have to be a good ride, a smart strategic ride from Castellano. and he's going to need a little help because the most interesting thing about this race is how this race is going to be run early and who's going to go where. Because to me, there's some cheap speed in here, but you have two trainers who are well known for liking their horses to have early speed, and they're the most likely winners outside of Mage in National Treasure and First Mission. And I would expect both of them to be in front of Mage, and they're the fresher of the horses. They have the advantage from that standpoint as well, which is going to make Mage's job doubly tougher as well.
All right. Obviously, makes a lot of sense, John.
Yeah.
Let's taking a look at the sheets. You got National Treasure last year 13-12-9, this year 11-8, and then you take a look at First Mission. All races this year 10-10-9. Of course, winning the Lexington on April 15th. So nothing really too wrong with the sheets from the 1 and the 8. That's not the issue or even the deal here. It's just whether or not you believe that Mage is going to come back in 2 weeks and continue on with that 6-5, and then what we'll see from Mage on Saturday, which is asking an awful lot.
Yeah, listen, you have to play against Mage. It's just too much, too quick, too soon. And you're, like you said, you're asking a lot from a horse in a very short period of time, who, by the way, will be the big favorite. So, you know.
But I do want to say with a little bit of an asterisk, because I mean, we didn't do it in the Derby. He should be respected, even if we're trying to play against him, which I think both of us are here. He's not a complete toss. He's not I expect Mage to run 9th. I do expect him to show up and run a courageous race. I just don't think it'll be good enough.
All right.
Yeah, he has to be respected by default. I mean, you have horses race that don't even belong here. I mean, horses that run 13s, 14s, 15s. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, all right. So outside of the 1 and the 8, and obviously the favorite, I mean, Blazing Sevens is a 6-1 shot with Chad Brown. But which horse do you think has the best shot? You know, which long shot has the best shot of hitting the board?
Long shot. There is no long shot. I guess Blazing Seven. If you call a 6-1 shot a long shot, I don't know. I mean, listen, if it's going to be a crazy result, no one's going to have it, so it really won't matter. I personally like First Mission, and I think National Treasure has a little bit of an edge because he's got the rail and he's going to be forwardly placed and everything else. Javier Castellano, who won his first Derby last week. Well, now Johnny Velasquez tries to win his first Preakness. He's won 1 million races all over the world. He's never won the Preakness, so he's full steam ahead on National Treasure. But I give a slight edge to First Mission. I just like his line on the sheets. He's getting better, and it's Cox and Sayers. So.
Chad, if I was going to, and anybody out there, because there's going to be a lot of people who were going to take Mage. So if you're going to take Mage and you were looking for a long shot, between, and I'm going to give you 3 horses, which one do you give the best chance at finishing second? The 4, the 5, or the 6?
Whose names are?
Chris, Red Route 1 and Perform.
All right, so in that situation, I think it's Red Route 1.
Me too.
I think he is I think he's under the radar. Okay. He's got a running style that he's going to be closing late. He's run respectable races. Of all the horses in the race, to be honest with you, other than First Mission, because First Mission really hasn't done anything wrong, and Mage, Red Route 1 has the best kind of resume. He was grade 1 placed as a 2-year-old. He was on the Derby Trail for a while. When he didn't make it on the Derby Trail, they sent him down to Oaklawn on Lexington Day for a spot, by the way, with a win and you're in for the Preakness. For whatever reason, that Oaklawn race partnered with Pimlico, so all fees are paid. Not that Winchell Thoroughbreds and Steve Asmussen need the money, but it's good to know that they said, all right, let's go to this Oaklawn race to try and parlay that into the Preakness. And I'll double down on saying earlier in the week, there was a chance that Asmussen was going to run both Disarm and Red Route 1. And I like the old saying on the racetrack, why run 2 when 1 will do? So the fact that they said, let's freshen up Disarm after a good 4th in the Kentucky Derby, that leaves them bullish on this horse, saying, we'll take our chances with Red Route 1 being our only contender in the Preakness. I think he's live. I think that morning line, I think he's 10-1, which I think is a little bit high for what he's done. I would much rather him over over Blazing Sevens. And the thing with National Treasure, look, if that horse was trained by Tim Yakteen, I would say National Treasure had no chance. The reason why you have to look at National Treasure is because Bob Baffert, it's his first Triple Crown race since his suspension in the 2 years, and you know that Bob Baffert wants to send a statement. Now, is this Bob Baffert going to be as effective as old Bob Baffert? We're going to find out, but he's going to try like you know that he's had in his mind with his arsenal of 3-year-old colts that he wanted to win the Preakness, and for one reason or another, this is the last one left standing, and he's going to try like heck to try and win the race. But I think Red Route 1, of the three you mentioned, Red Route 1 is definitely the one I want of those three.
John, your top pick, you said, is going to be the 8. Are you going to do 8 over 1?
8 over 1, 3, 5.
3, 5. And by the way, before I get your pick, Chad, just since we did not do a race on Saturday, except for the Preakness, I was taking a look at your picks for race 12. Would a Western Yarn be a good play or the best play if, again, we're looking for a price in the double? Well, Western Yarn is the 10-to-1 shot in race 12 because you know, it's one of your picks. It's not your top pick.
You're talking to me?
Yeah.
No, I don't like Western Young. I would use him underneath. I don't think he's good enough to beat the other horses in that race. Unfortunately.
Chad, your picks?
It's First Mission. This will complete the Triple Crown for Brad Cox, albeit not the way he wants to do it. Hopefully next year he has a chance to win the Triple Crown the correct way. But he's won the Belmont before with Essential Quality. He's been awarded the Kentucky Derby with Mandaloon, and this will be his first Preakness. I think this is Brad Cox's race to lose. First Mission is one of the best 3-year-olds in the country, if not the best 3-year-olds in the country. For those who don't know, they'll get a chance to see it firsthand on Saturday when Brad Cox is lifting up the world's most expensive horse racing trophy.
All right. And look, it'd be great if Mage...
I will...
What's that?
I do want to use underneath, though. I do want to put Red Route 1 in second. I think he completes the exacta.
Yeah, I'm going to do 1 and 5, so I'm going to do the same thing. That's why I asked you with Red Route 1, and I'll do the 1. But look, if Mage wins, it's going to be great for the sport. We'll have a Triple Crown. You think we'll definitely see Mage at the Belmont if he wins?
If we win, we will see him at the Belmont. If he loses, we will not see him until the Jim Dandy. I promise you that. There is 0.00% chance that Mage runs to the Belmont Stakes if he loses the Preakness. All
right. Well, you know, if for the sport's sake, hopefully Mage comes in. If he doesn't, we'll hopefully cash in.
You know Naira's rooting for Mage. That's about it.
I'm sure seats are available now for the last
get
Belmont
them now
at the old Belmont Park.
And next week, guys, we have what kind of racing do we have next week? And off the tip of your memory there, anything?
Chad knows.
Chad?
There's Memorial Day, Racing Memorial Day. May 29th, big race with Memorial Day. I don't know. I know there's a Mr. Prospector Stakes at Monmouth on next Monday. That's all I know right now.
Let's see. There's the 27th, Saturday. That's a couple of races, graded stakes races, including the Triple Bend at Santa Anita. And then on the 29th, that's what you're talking. Yeah, it's Memorial Day. We've got a bunch of stakes races at Belmont. And we've got two.
That's 2 weeks away. Isn't it 29th, 2 weeks away?
No, next week.
Oh, okay.
And then the big races are at Santa Anita, the Grade 1 Hollywood Gold Cup and the Grade 1 Shoemaker Mile on Memorial Day.
All right.
Yeah, we might see the return of country grammar there, and everybody look forward. It looks like right now the race of the year is shaping up for Belmont Stakes Day on the undercard. The race that forever was on Memorial Day and should go Memorial Day. So right now, looks like horses like Taiba, horses like Cody's Wish, Elite Power,
that race,
Repo Rocks. We're gonna see Doppelganger in there. It's gonna be a race for the ages. So hopefully everybody stays safe and healthy, and that'll be the race of the year, the Met Mile on Belmont Stakes Day.
All right, guys.
By the way, John, if we wanted to do those races on Memorial Day, when would we be able to do the show? Could it be Friday?
Possibly, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What are you laughing about?
Goodbye, guys. I got to run. Thank you. See you next week.
Bye, John.
How we doing,
Bye,
guys?
Chad. Okay. Glad I can make you guys laugh. We'll see everybody next week.